In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. Let the light sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you.
Ladies,
in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
to defeat the dark forces that have invaded our democratic process, divided our House, to fight against, no matter your political persuasion, the dictatorial tendencies of the candidate with zero experience in the much maligned but subtle art of governance, who is against lots of things but doesn't seem to be for anything, offering only bombastic and contradictory promises and terrifying Orwellian statements. A person who easily lies, creating an environment where the truth doesn't seem to matter, who has never demonstrated any interest in anyone or anything but himself and his own enrichment, who insults veterans, threatens a free press, mocks the handicapped, denigrates and abuses women, wants to ban immigrants and all Muslims, a man who enjoys the enthusiastic support of white supremacists, an infantile, bullying man who, depending on his mood, is willing to discard old and established alliances, treaties, and long-standing relationships. And just the sheer vulgarity of him, haven't we had enough? And asking this man to assume the highest office in the land would be like asking a newly minted car driver to fly a 747. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have a candidate who is more than qualified. In fact, our extraordinary president, Barack Obama, the other tall, thin lawyer from Illinois, has said quite correctly that she is the most qualified person ever to run for president. He is right. And boy, do we need that experience today. The alternative may be our own undoing, the death by suicide of the most important political experiment in human history. Now, let me finish. You all remember the great Christmas time movie, It's a Wonderful Life? We see it every year. The choice tomorrow couldn't be starker and more clear than the one put forth in that classic film. Do we wish to live in Pottersville of the other guy's bleak vision of America, where he has tapped into our dark, unconscious, fearful, mean-spirited, everyone for themselves, everyone an independent free agent? Or vote to live in Bedford Falls, where we share an interrelationship with each other? Helping, generous, diverse, connected, heading forward into the future, not backward into some dead past. That is, of course, Hillary Clinton's inclusive vision, what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. I know what my answer is to that question. What is yours? Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. And Maggie, Carol, Annie, and Colin. Vote. Make this nightmare history. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Gabby Giffords and Mark Kelly.
Thank you so much. So, New Hampshire, Gabby and I have a couple questions for you. Number one, who's ready to make history tomorrow? Number two, who's ready to send Hillary Clinton to the White House? And who's ready to send Maggie Hassan to the United States Senate? You're also going to need a new governor, right? So we need to make sure that Colin is your next governor, and that all of you send Carol Shea Porter and Ann Custer to the U.S. Congress. Okay, you passed that first test. That's good. Because you Granite Staters have one credible opportunity right in front of you. You know, Gabby and I support Hillary Clinton for a whole lot of reasons. One of them is that Hillary Clinton is the only candidate in this race who has the courage to stand up to the Washington gun lobby, the record to prove it, and a plan to create an America for our kids and our grandkids that has less gun violence, not more. So this election season, Gabby and I have been traveling through New Hampshire and across our great country on what we call our Vocal Majority Tour. And that's a tour that has been urging Americans to vote to stop gun violence this election. And to vote for what we call the champions for the vocal majority who will stand up to the gun lobby. Now, Gabby and I, but mostly Gabby, has been traveling through 16 states, 41 cities in 41 days. To stand with the vocal majority of Americans, 90% of Americans, in fact, that believe that through common sense changes in our gun laws, we can make communities safer from gun violence. And take it from us, take it from Gabby and me, that Hillary Clinton is the champion that we all need. And Donald Trump? Well, he's not that champion. Not even close. He's not a champion for all that much. And you know, Donald Trump talks a lot about a lot of things. He talks a lot about how the Washington gun lobby supports him. Get this, to the tune of nearly $30 million. He talks a lot about how he wants to get rid of gun-free zones in our schools. He talks about how, on day one in the Oval Office, if he was elected, he wants to undo President Obama's steps to keep guns out of the hands of felons, domestic abusers, and even terrorists. But you know what you never hear Donald Trump talk about? He never talks about the responsibility of keeping guns out of the wrong hands. And in a country like ours where 33,000 people are shot and killed each year and where felons and domestic abusers can buy guns without a background check, well, that's really important. And it's something that Hillary Clinton has been talking about for her entire career. Look, New Hampshire is a state with a lot of gun owners. I'm a gun owner. Gabby's a gun owner. And take it from us, we don't want anybody to repeal the Second Amendment. We don't want the government coming to take our guns. But we do want a president and a Congress who will do more to make sure that felons, domestic abusers, and even terrorists don't have easy access to firearms. It just makes sense. So if you want to build on the progress that President Obama has made in reducing gun violence, not roll it back, then you need to help make sure that Hillary Clinton is our next president. I was reading an article this morning online in the newspaper, and it said it was an article about one solid path that Donald Trump has to the presidency rolls right through here in New Hampshire. So you have the ability in this state to block Donald Trump from becoming our next president, and you need to do that. You know who else is a champion for the vocal majority that supports responsible change? And that's your governor and our friend Maggie Hassan. Your governor, Maggie Hassan, has the courage to do something that Kelly Ayotte never has, and that's to stand up to the Washington gun lobby. So we need to make sure that not only Maggie Hassan becomes your next senator, but Carol Shea Porter is again elected to Congress, that Ann Custer is elected to Congress, and we're going to give a shout out to the dudes on the ticket too. Colin needs to be your next governor. You know, I had the honor of serving in the United States Navy as a pilot and as a NASA astronaut for 25 years. That was a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than politics. And you know, 4 times in my career, I had this really great opportunity to fly the space shuttle off of our planet, and more importantly, back onto our planet. And the more I think about those missions, the more I think about how a campaign for office, especially the presidency, is a lot like a space shuttle mission. It's a team of hard-working people preparing for a really long time to reach a really big and important goal. And then one day, for the space flight, it's time to light that rocket. And folks, let me tell you something. We are getting ready for launch day, and that's tomorrow. And we need to make sure that New Hampshire is the launch pad that puts Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine on the trajectory towards the White House with all the energy and the speed that they need to lead our country so we can be stronger together. Now I want to introduce you to someone who's working incredibly hard to do just that. Somebody who is using her second chance at service to make our communities safer from gun violence, and somebody who reminds me each and every day to deny the acceptance of failure. She does not give up. My incredible wife, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords.
Today, I'm here to talk to you about Hillary Clinton. family safer. In the White House, she will stand up to the gun lobby. That's why I'm voting
here to
for Hillary.
talk to you and Hillary Clinton. Hillary is tough. Hillary is courageous. She will fight to make our families safer. In the White House, she will stand up to the gun lobby. That's why I'm voting for Hillary. Speaking is difficult for me, but come January, I want to say these 2 words, Madam President. Let's work together to make Hillary our president. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Hello, UNH. Hello, UNH. I'm so proud of all of you. So proud. This is my alma mater, undergrad and graduate school. Go Wildcats, right? So let's get personal here. I have a personal question. Are you going to vote tomorrow? And are you going to get everybody out of the dorms and out of the apartments to vote tomorrow? Yeah. And do you know it's same-day registration? There. Okay, so that's good, because when I was here, things were different. They were very different for women. We've made a lot of progress. But my father used to tell me about my grandmother, who had children before she was ever allowed to vote. So this is a very precious right that we have. And Granny D always said that democracy is not something that we have, it's something that we do. So we're going to do democracy tomorrow? Yeah. And everything is at stake. You heard my wonderful friends Gabby and Mark talking about it. You heard my friend Ken talking about what's at stake. We all know how serious this really is. But there are more of us, more people who believe in a positive vision for this country, more people who believe in love, that love can trump hate. And that, yeah. And we know that standing together, they can't break through that barrier. We are going to save the country tomorrow. So, as my good friend Elizabeth Warren says, that man will not be president. You've heard her say it, right? And you have to believe Elizabeth Warren, because she knows the score here. So I am thrilled to see all of you. I know that you know what's at stake, but you've got to get your friends and neighbors and family members out as well. New Hampshire is absolutely the path, and you just heard them talking about that. New Hampshire is so critically important. Now, Senator Markey from Massachusetts, anybody from Massachusetts here? Well, I sort of knew that, but he said that there's 7 billion people on the planet right now holding their breaths because they can do nothing about this. We're the ones that can do everything about it. It's on your shoulders. So let's get it done, right? Let's go, let's vote, and then when you're there, make sure that you vote what I like to call, probably a familiar phrase to some of you, bottoms up, right? We have to vote up and down the ticket. So Hillary Clinton, who we will soon be saying, Madam President, so that Hillary Clinton will have a full ticket of people that she can work with to move this country forward. So in New Hampshire, we need you to make sure that you vote for all of the Democrats on the ticket. We have a shared vision. And we need you to vote up and down the ticket. We have a wonderful governor who is going to be senator. It's up to you. Right? And Annie Kuster and Colin Van Ostern, who's got a wonderful young family. He's got his eye on New Hampshire's future. He just needs you to go out and vote. And of course, I need you to go out and vote too. So I ask for your vote. So let's see. How many people are ready to go vote tomorrow to protect Planned Parenthood? There you go. Me too. How many of you believe in science? How many of you are going out tomorrow to vote so that the people in charge who understand climate change and plan to work it? How many people are going to go out there tomorrow and vote because you believe that no matter who you love, you have the same rights under this great country? How many of you believe that college is too expensive, that tech school is too expensive and they need help? Right. So do we. So please go vote tomorrow and make sure everybody else does too. And thank you for being here. We are going to see shortly a man that I admire, I know you do too, President Barack Obama, who led the way through it. So we're pretty lucky, we're pretty privileged to have everybody here, and we know why everybody's here. Because tomorrow, we are going to save the state, and we are going to save the country, and we are going to save the world. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congresswoman Annie Kuster.
Good afternoon, New Hampshire. Great to see you all. Woo! Fired up and ready to go. I'm Congresswoman Annie Kuster, and I am so excited to be here today with you and with my good friend, Barack Obama, the President of the United States. Woo! I gotta let you in on a little story. It's been almost exactly 10 years to the day that I first met then Senator Barack Obama on his very first trip to consider running for President of the United States right here in New Hampshire. And I have worked my heart out for him every day since, and that's how I've ended up here in the United States Congress and before you today. He has worked tirelessly to improve the lives of Americans all across this country. So here's what's exciting about New Hampshire. Tomorrow, we are going to make history again. Tomorrow, we are going to elect the very first woman ever to be President of the United States of America. Woo! And it gets better. We are going to elect the first ever all-female Democratic federal delegation to the United States Congress. Now, I am especially glad that we have President Obama with us today because he knows better than anyone the challenges of being president. And he knows that no one has ever been more qualified, more experienced, or more prepared to be commander-in-chief than Hillary Clinton. So are you ready? Are you ready to work with Hillary Clinton to create a better future for all Americans? Are you ready to help us ensure that no one who works full-time lives in poverty by raising the minimum wage and paying women equal wages to men? Are you ready to ensure that students right here on this campus get the education they need to... And are you ready to tackle climate change and build a strong, clean energy economy and save our planet? And are you ready to ensure that women can make their own health care decisions today, tomorrow, and for generations to come? Now, no one is more committed to these goals than Hillary Clinton. But she can't do it alone. So we need to elect Democrats up and down the ticket who will work with her and pursue our shared goals. We need to send Maggie Hassan to the United States Senate. We need to elect my very good friend Colin Van Ostern as our governor and turn the State House blue. And we need to elect Carol Shea Porter to join me in the United States House of Representatives. So now is the time to make your voice heard, to vote your values. Will you make your voice heard tomorrow to vote your values to everyone in America can hear you? Will you tell your friends and your family and your roommate and your Greek sisters and brothers, will you make sure that everyone turns out to vote in this election? Okay, we're going to do a little game because this is important. So I want you to visualize your plan tomorrow to go to vote. I'm going to go with my husband, Brad, at 8:30 a.m. in Hopkinton Town Hall. Actually, it's at the high school. Okay, everybody got that? Say your plan out loud right now, all of you. All right, you got it? You got it committed to memory? And you're going to stick to it? And remember that New Hampshire has same-day registration, so no excuses. Now this election for many of us has gotten very personal. This election is about our values. It's about equality. It's about civility. It's about diversity. It's about opportunity. If you have ever, like me, not been paid the same as the men that you work with, if you or someone you love has ever experienced sexual harassment or sexual assault as I have, if you or your family are working to the bone so hard and you can't get ahead because you're not getting a fair wage, and if you, like I do, care about the next generation, about our future, about the children, about the seniors, about the veterans, about the students, then stand with me and vote tomorrow, because this is important. Now, one last thing, because I know so many of you have been knocking on doors, and we want to thank our brothers and sisters from Massachusetts and California and everywhere you came from. Thank you. America is watching. And if you talk to anyone in the next 36 hours who doesn't think that their votes counts, tell them my story. I was 18 years old. The first time I voted, I drove home from college. I'm the youngest of 5 children. We all drove home to vote that day. And a United States Senate election was decided here in New Hampshire by 4 votes. And we won. And so you can look it up. It's John Durkin. The whole world is watching. Thank you. Thank you. Elect Hillary Clinton.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Executive Counselor and candidate for governor, Colin Van Ostern.
All right, are you fired up? Are you ready to welcome the President of the United States back to New Hampshire? But this may be the last time that Barack Obama joins us here in New Hampshire as our president. I hope you'll join me in thanking him for his extraordinary service to the You know, there have been 3 times that I have had Barack Obama's words open my eyes and touch my heart. And I want to tell you about all 3. The first was 12 years ago at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. And I suspect many people first learned of Barack Obama when he spoke those words. But I hope that tomorrow night people remember them. He said, "The pundits like to slice and dice us into red states and blue states, red states for the Republicans and blue states for the Democrats. But we don't live in a liberal America and a conservative America. We live in the United States of America." He said, "We don't live in a black America, in a white America, in a Latino America, and an Asian America. We live in the United States of America. We are one people. We are one nation." And I think that Barack Obama has been reminding us for 12 years what those words, "stronger together," really mean. The second time that his words touched me were not words of a speech. They were words of a song. It was just a couple years ago, and he went to Charleston, South Carolina after a horrible shooting. And he spoke to parishioners who had lost 9 of their fellows in their congregation. And in the middle of his speech, he stopped and he sang Amazing Grace. And I imagined in the middle of his song that he wasn't just singing for the 9 who had fallen, that he was singing for all of us. Because all of us live or die but for the grace of God. And he was reminding us that we are our brother's keeper, and how important it is not just to have a president who understands hope, but a president who also has a heart. And the third time was just over a year ago. President Obama went to Selma, Alabama, and he stood on a bridge that talking about a civil rights march. He is President of the United States of America. He isn't speaking in metaphor. They marched so that he could run. And he went on, he said, they marched so that we could run. We must run so our children can soar. Now, I am a dad of 2 young boys, 3 years old and 6 years old, and I am running for governor of New Hampshire so that all of our children can soar. I know firsthand that this can be the best place in the country to live and work and raise a family and grow a business. But I also know that we have to take our next step forward. I know we need to do more to bring and keep young people and young families and new businesses and startups here in our state. I know that my 6-year-old just started first grade in one of half the towns in New Hampshire that still don't have full-day public kindergarten. And that one day he will graduate from high school, and I do not want it to still be in a state that has the highest in-state tuition in the country and the highest levels of student debt in the nation. If there is one thing I've learned from Barack Obama, it's how to be an optimist. And the future I see for my kids and for all our children is a future where they can go to a great school, no matter which town they're from or which family they're from or what their last name is, where they can get the skills to compete anywhere in the world, but also have every reason to stay right here in New Hampshire. That they can learn a trade or get an apprenticeship or go to community college or go to a great institution like the University of New Hampshire without being crushed by debt. I see a future where we keep taxes low but we raise wages, a future where we treat our fellow citizens with dignity and equality and respect that really is the New Hampshire way. A future where we stop playing political games with a woman's right to choose, and I promise I will always be a governor who supports funding for birth control and cancer screenings and annual exams at our state Planned Parenthood health centers 100% of the time. That is a future that is worth fighting for. But it is up to you. You know, when he said those words, he didn't say, we can run. Yes, we can. That was 8 years ago. He said we must run. They march so that we can run. We must run so our children can soar. We must run. He didn't say we'll think about it. He didn't say we'll walk. He said we must run. And that's his charge to you this afternoon and tomorrow. We must run. I am asking you to run with me. Tomorrow we must vote. Tomorrow we must get out the vote. Tomorrow we must show our kids and our allies and our elected leaders who we stand for as a nation. And I promise you, If you work hard, if you get out the vote, if you bring a friend and help them register for the first time, we will prove to my kids, to our allies, to our elected leaders that stronger together is not the motto of a campaign, it is the motto of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 let the light shine through. into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
pleasure to be here with all of you to welcome President Barack Obama back to New Hampshire. You know, 8 years ago, New Hampshire and America made history when we elected Barack Obama President of the United States. Well, in those 8 years, he has made us so proud. He has shown grace in the face of unprecedented gridlock and obstructionism, and he's shown courage in tackling some of the toughest challenges we have in this country. He got the economy going again after the financial meltdown. Brought health care to 20 million people in America. He's given us historic agreements on climate change and the reduction of nuclear weapons. And aren't we going to miss having Barack and Michelle Obama and their two beautiful daughters in the White House? Yes. But the best thank you that we can give to them after all the sacrifices that they've made for us and for America is to make sure that those sacrifices weren't in vain. We need to build on the progress of the last 8 years. And that's why we need to elect Hillary Clinton the next president. She will make us proud as president, just as she has throughout this campaign. She's shown us her toughness, her resilience, her compassion, and her heart. And she stood tall while enduring an endless barrage of lies and sexism. And those attacks are coming from the least qualified, most ill-prepared person we have ever nominated to run for President of the United States. But, you know, every time Donald Trump has attacked his better qualified, more experienced, better prepared female opponent, it has struck a chord with women all across this country. And when Donald made those attacks, he struck a chord with us. And you know, we nasty women vote. Yes, we vote. And on Tuesday, we can reject the bigotry, the hatred, the nastiness and name-calling of Donald Trump, and we can instead elect a woman whose knowledge and temperament to do the job, who understands that America is stronger together. So we are going to make history again come tomorrow, because we are going to elect Hillary Clinton, the next president to follow Barack Obama. And we're going to return Carol Shea Porter to Congress to serve with Annie Kuster. And send Colin Van Ostern to the corner office in New Hampshire.
And now, my official job here this afternoon is to introduce our next senator from New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan. Seen the great job Maggie has done as governor. She's been a problem solver. She's been able to work across the aisle in a bipartisan way. We need that kind of pragmatic doing in Washington to take action. And I can't wait to have her come because I know that she's going to do her job in Washington and that I'm no longer going to have my vote canceled out half the time because New Hampshire needs 2 votes. So, join me in welcoming our next Senator, Maggie Hassan.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jeanne Shaheen, not only for the introduction, but for your service and your leadership. We are so lucky to have Jeanne Shaheen as our senator. And it is so great to be here with so many fired up Granite Staters to welcome back to New Hampshire the President of the United States of America. And I know that all of you are ready to elect Hillary Clinton and Democrats up and down the ticket on Tuesday. You know, here in New Hampshire, we've brought both parties together in order to build a stronger, more innovative future where education and small businesses drive job creation. And don't you think it's long past time for Washington to take the same approach? I'm running for the United States Senate because I want to see a future where everyone who works hard has an opportunity to get ahead and stay ahead, where our middle class is growing and thriving, and parents can feel confident again that their children are going to have a better future. There is a clear choice. Thank you. There is a clear choice in this election. Do we keep going with a senator who repeatedly votes with the corporate special interests? Or a new senator who sides with the people of New Hampshire? As your senator, I will continue our fight to make college more affordable, to protect our environment, to ensure that women have access to the health services that they need. And to keep America safe. This is the vision that we share as Democrats, what President Obama has fought for and delivered over these past 8 years. And it is the vision that Hillary Clinton will fight for as our next president. I have seen the energy and passion of so many of you at field offices all across our state. And we've got to keep the momentum going all the way through tomorrow night. And that's why I especially want to thank the thousands of volunteers who aren't here right now, because they're doing just that. They're keeping the momentum going, putting in the work. They are putting in the work we need to do now to ensure success tomorrow. So I have to ask those of you who are here, are you ready to make even more calls? Yes? Are you ready to knock on even more doors? Are you ready to keep working during these last critical hours to ensure a brighter future for all Americans? Yes. I know you're ready, and I know you won't let up now. The future of our great state and our great country, a cause bigger than each and every one of us, is on the line here. So thank you. Let's get back to work and let's win tomorrow and build a brighter future. Thank you. Thank you. Now, it is my honor to welcome back to New Hampshire the President of the United States. Over the last 8 years, President Obama has fought to grow our economy and to expand middle-class opportunity. He's worked to make college more affordable and to protect Social Security and Medicare. He has stood up for a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. And he's been a champion for equality for all of our citizens. So the progress we've made together, it's on the line tomorrow, and we won't be pulled back now. So please give a warm welcome to President Barack Obama.
Every day is a good day to be a Wildcat. Can everybody please give it up for our outstanding public servants, your Senator Jeanne Shaheen, Representative Annie McLean Custer, and 2 women you can send to join them in Washington, your governor and next United States Senator Maggie Hassan. And your next Congresswoman, Carol Shea Porter. Your next governor, Colin Van Orstern. And give it up for 2 great friends of mine, former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and her husband and former astronaut, Mark Kelly. I've got to say, because this is, I think, going to be my last big event. Yes, I mean, we got one in Philly, but you know, Michelle's talking there, so I won't get any attention. So I want to take some time just to thank some very special people who've put everything they've got into this campaign, not just here in New Hampshire, but across America. And that is all the grassroots organizers who work so hard every single day. They don't get a lot of attention. Some of them started on my first campaign. They picked up the phones, they hit the streets, They just live and breathe the hard work of change. I could not be prouder of them. They're the best organizers on the planet, and I could not be more proud of you. So thank you, organizers, for the great work you do. I love you back. I do. So, one more day, New Hampshire. One more day. One more day, and you, okay. I can't hear you, but I appreciate you. So, I love you too, I do. So we got one more day, and we can choose a politics of blame and divisiveness and resentment, or you can choose a politics that says we're stronger together. Tomorrow you can choose whether we continue the journey of progress or whether it all goes out the window. Think about where we were 8 years ago. Now, I realize some of you were 10. And you know, you were watching Nickelodeon, and I was trying to think back. You know, you had Josh and Drake, you had iCarly. Although in our household, SpongeBob ruled. So not all of you were paying attention. So let me just reprise for you what was going on 8 years ago. We were living through 2 long wars, the worst economic crisis in 80 years. But because of the American people, and because we made some good decisions about what might help working families, we turned the page. Our businesses have turned job losses into 15.5 million new jobs. Incomes and wages are up, and poverty is down by more than any time in the last 30 years. 20 million Americans have health insurance that didn't have it before. We doubled our production of clean energy. We became the world leader in fighting climate change. We brought home more of our men and women in uniform. We took out Osama bin Laden. Marriage equality is a reality from coast to coast. High school graduations at an all-time high. College enrollment at an all-time high. And over these 8 years, across all 50 states, I've seen what always has made America great. I've seen you, the American people, not just Democrats, but people of every party, people of every faith, who know that we're stronger together. Young people and old, black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American, people with disabilities, gay, straight, all pledging allegiance to the red, white, and blue. That's the America I know. That's the America I love. And there's one candidate in this race who has devoted her life to that better America, the next president of the United States, Hillary Clinton. Hillary, Hillary, Hillary. But make no mistake, all that progress goes down the drain if we don't win tomorrow. And New Hampshire, you know, it's a small state, but it's an important state. There's some scenarios where Hillary doesn't win if she doesn't win New Hampshire. So it depends on you. I know there's been a long campaign. And I know it's been full of negative ads and distractions and noise. I want you to tune all that out. I want you to focus, because the choice you face when you step into that voting booth could not be clear. Donald Trump is temperamentally unfit to be commander-in-chief. This is not just my opinion. This is the opinion of a lot of Republicans. Think about it. Over the weekend, his campaign took his Twitter account away from him. If your closest advisors don't trust you to tweet, how can you trust them with the nuclear codes? You can't do it. He is uniquely unqualified to be America's chief executive. He says he's a business guy. But we've got a lot of great businessmen and women, including right here in New Hampshire, who don't try to succeed by stiffing small businesses who did work for them or stiffing workers what they owe them. This is the first candidate in decades to hide his tax returns, partly because he hasn't paid any federal income taxes. He thinks that's smart, but that means he's not making a dime's worth of contribution to caring for our veterans, to supporting our troops, to rebuilding our roads, to building up our public colleges and universities. Don't boo! Vote! You know, he can't. New Hampshire, Donald Trump can't hear your boos, but he can hear your votes. He's got nothing serious to offer on jobs. There hasn't been enough talk about this economy in this election. And you know why? Because we've created jobs for 73 months in a row now. Wages are rising. Just last week, the unemployment rate was at 4.9%. That's near the lowest levels in nearly 9 years. So, Donald Trump generally avoids facts or he just denies them. So he said, this is a disaster. A disaster? Listen, I just came from Michigan. You want to know what a real disaster looks like? Think back to that state and what we were dealing with 8 years ago. The American auto industry was flat on its back. Unemployment was soaring. Today's plants across that state and across the region that were shut down, they're now doing double shifts. And you know what? You know what Donald Trump's idea was? Donald Trump's idea for the auto industry, he actually suggested that Michigan should send its auto jobs to states that pay their workers less. And by making Michigan workers suffer, they'd have no choice but to accept less pay if they wanted to get their jobs back. Does that sound? Don't boo. What are you supposed to do? Vote. Does that sound like somebody who actually cares about working people? New England's lost mill jobs over the years. Would that be a good way to bring them back? Just send them down to places where they pay them less? Look, we got manufacturing growing again over these last 8 years, first time since 1990s, and Hillary's going to keep that going. She's put forward the biggest investment in new jobs since World War II. She's got plans to grow manufacturing, boost people's wages, help students with college debt. That's why she should be the next president of the United States. And New Hampshire, let me tell you something I've learned about this job. Who you are, what you are, that doesn't change once you get into the Oval Office. It magnifies who you are. It shines a spotlight on who you are. But if you denigrate minorities when you're running for office, if you call immigrants criminals and rapists when you're running for office, if you mock people with disabilities and treat women as objects, calling them pigs and dogs and scoring them on a 1 through 10 test, if you do that, when you're running for office, that's how you'll conduct yourself in office. If you insult POWs and talk our troops down, if you say you know more than our generals when you can't tell the difference between a Shia and a Sunni, that's how you'll conduct yourself as commander-in-chief. You know, it's bad enough being arrogant. It's bad being arrogant and not knowing anything. If you accept the support of Klan sympathizers saying, well, I don't know what they're about, then that's how you'll be thinking when you take office. If you disrespect the Constitution, threatening to shut down reporters that don't write things you don't like, threatening to throw your opponent in jail in the middle of a presidential debate. If you discriminate against people of different faiths, that happens in other countries, but not this one. This is the United States of America. We've got a Constitution. You know, his buddy Putin may think that's okay. I don't think it's okay. The American people don't think it's okay. Come on. Donald Trump is uniquely unqualified to hold this job. And the good news is, New Hampshire, you are uniquely qualified to make sure he does not get this job. But you got to vote. You got to vote tomorrow. And the good news is you don't just have to vote against someone. You've got a candidate who's actually worthy of your vote, who is smart and tested and probably the most qualified person ever to run for this office, and that is Hillary Clinton. You know, I've got to say, since my name's not on the ballots, there are times where I've been just kind of trying to bite my tongue, but there's a lot about this election that has not been on the level. But I'm going to level with you right now. The way campaigns have gotten, we've come to accept crazy stuff as normal. And you see this strategy of just repeating attacks and outright lies over and over again, but it gets churned in social media and Facebook, and no matter how false they are, they just create this cloud of dust. And so I've had to bite my lip and just listen to some of the nonsense that's been said about Hillary. I know Hillary. I ran against Hillary. She worked for me. This is somebody who has dedicated her life to making this country better. This is somebody who cares about working families because she comes from a working family. Think about how she got her start as a young woman, not much older than most of the folks here. While Donald Trump and his developer dad were being sued by the Justice Department for denying housing to African-American families, Hillary was going undercover from school to school to make sure minority kids were getting an equal shot at a good education. And she has not stopped fighting. She has not stopped fighting for justice. She has not stopped fighting for equality. She has not stopped fighting for kids ever since. She will be a smart and steady president. And unlike her opponent, she actually respects working Americans. She will work her heart out to create jobs that families can live on and child care you can afford. She'll fight for equal pay for equal work. She'll make sure that we've got a higher minimum wage and family leave that's paid so people can afford to use it, and make sure that this economy works for everybody. And unlike her opponent, she actually knows what's going on in the world. She's traveled around the world. She's respected around the world. She'll work her heart out to keep America respected and strong and safe. And she will not turn people against each other just to win an election. She'll be a leader for all of us, even those who don't vote for her, because she knows we are stronger together. But New Hampshire, if you want Hillary to continue the progress we've made, she's going to need allies in the Senate. Allies like Maggie Hassan. You cannot just stick her with Republicans in Congress who are already promising even more unprecedented dysfunction in Washington. More shutdowns, more obstruction, more repeal votes, years of hearings, years of investigations. Some are saying they'll block all Supreme Court nominations. Don't boo. I mean, apparently they think only Republican presidents should nominate judges. If you think voting for endless gridlock is a good slogan, you should vote for the Republicans. And by the way, Maggie's opponent, I gather she's kind of running like maybe she's a Democrat all of a sudden. But in Washington, she supports Mitch McConnell. In Washington, she supports a majority that has consistently been about saying no to everything. She supports eliminating health care for 20 million Americans who already have it. So don't buy that okey doke. There's a clear choice involved here. Maggie Hassan will make sure we've got a Democratic majority to work for the things you care about. Her opponent will not. It's a clear choice. America can do better than gridlock. And if you care about creating jobs, you care about child care they can afford, you care about equal pay for women and higher wages for workers, then you've got to vote for Democrats up and down the ticket. People like Hillary, people like Maggie, people who will put you ahead of politics, who will involve all of us in the work of moving this country forward. And that's ultimately what this comes down to, New Hampshire. You know, the most important office in a democracy is not president, it's not senator, it's not governor or mayor. It's citizen. That's the most important office. That's why we don't talk about I, we talk about we. We the people. We shall overcome. Yes, we can. I didn't say yes I can, I said yes we can. America's never been about what one person says he'll do for us. It's about what we do together through the slow and, yes, sometimes frustrating, but ultimately enduring work of self-government. This is where you come in. You hold the most important office in a democracy. It depends on you. Even when the odds are steep, even when the road is long, it's been ordinary people who've made the difference. That's how patriots chose revolution over tyranny. The GIs who defeated fascism around the world, they were your age. Women finding the courage to reach for the ballot. Marchers crossing a bridge in Selma for their dignity. Workers organizing, collective bargaining, and better wages. You make these things happen. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. In this country, you don't have to be born of wealth or privilege to make a difference. You don't have to practice a certain faith or look a certain way to bend the arc of history. And that's what makes America exceptional. That's what's always made America great. So with whatever credibility I've got after 8 years as your president, I am asking you to trust me on this one. I already voted for Hillary. We got early vote in Illinois. I already voted for her. I'm absolutely confident that when she's president, this country will be in good hands. And I'm asking you to do the same. And especially the young people who are here today. You know, it isn't that often in life you'll discover where you just know you can make a difference. It's not that often where you have a chance to shape history. The world is watching us right now. This is one of those moments. Don't let it slip away. Don't give away your power. You have a chance to send a clear signal. We are not divisive. We're not mean-spirited. That's not what America's about. We're not going to go backwards. You can elect a leader who spent her life trying to move this country forward. Our first female president. A president who will be an example for our daughters and for our sons and send a signal there is no glass ceiling. Anybody who works hard and cares enough can achieve. And now, after months of campaigning, after all the rallies, after all the ads, it all comes down to you. This is out of Hillary's hands now. It's out of my hands. It's out of Michelle's hands. It's out of Maggie's hands or Jean's hands. It's in your hands. The fate of our democracy depends on what you do when you step into that voting booth tomorrow. It depends on whether you're telling your friends and your neighbors and your relatives that they have to go and exercise this power, this legacy. Don't dare fall for this easy cynicism that says my vote doesn't matter or politicians are all the same, because they're not. Hillary's opponent wants you to think that. Folks, Mitch McConnell wants you to think that. They don't want you to vote. In some states, they've made it harder for you to vote. But your vote does matter. I won some states by 2 votes a precinct. Your voice makes a difference. And if you don't believe that, I want to leave you with one last story. I want to leave you with one. I want to leave you with one last story, and this is for the young people here. This is for the young people here, so I want you to pay attention. Now, because a lot of you won't remember this, but when I ran for the presidency in 2008, the truth is that not a lot of people gave me a chance. You know, I was a skinny guy with a funny name. And when I look back at the pictures of me speaking back then, like, I look really young. So initially, when we started the campaign, the odds weren't for us. And we had a lot of states to cover, and I had never run a national campaign. And so we had to try to get any support we could, any endorsements we could. So I fly down to South Carolina. I go down to South Carolina for some state legislator's banquet or something, and I'm sitting next to this state legislator, and she hasn't made an endorsement yet. And I ask her for the endorsement. That's what you do when you're kind of trying to get support. And she says, you know what, Obama, I like you. You're a little young, a little green behind the ears, but I like you. I will endorse you if you come to my hometown of Greenwood, South Carolina. So I must have had a little too much wine, because I just said, okay, on the spot. I was feeling a little desperate, didn't have a lot of endorsements, a lot of support back then. So fast forward, about a month and a half later, I've been working in Iowa, I've been coming up to New Hampshire, I've been calling people and trying to raise money, and I'm exhausted. Haven't seen my family. I'm a little grouchy. And I fly down to South Carolina, down to Greenville, and I get in about midnight, and I'm exhausted. I'm dragging my bags through the little airport terminal and get it to the hotel, and all I want to do is sleep. And suddenly, right as I get to the door, I get this tap on my shoulder. And I turn around, and it's one of my staffers. Said, Senator, because back then I was just Senator. Said, Senator, you do know that you got to wake up at 6:30 tomorrow morning, right? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, remember that state legislator you met? You promised you'd go out to Greenwood? Well, that's tomorrow. So I'm muttering under my breath. I'm not happy. I go in, just fall out. Alarm goes off, and I feel terrible. I am exhausted. Think I'm coming down with a cold. I open up the curtains. It's pouring down rain outside. Pouring down rain. Horrible day. I make myself some coffee, and I get the newspaper outside my door and open it up. There's a bad story about me in the New York Times. I get dressed, shave, walk out, just kind of still groggy, still staggering. My umbrella blows open. That ever happened to you? As I'm walking out, and I get soaked. I'm just soaked. I get in the car. I say, all right, how long is it going to take to Greenwood? An hour and a half. An hour and a half. So we're driving and we're driving and we're driving. Doesn't seem like we're going anywhere. Sheets of rain are pouring down. And finally, we get to Greenwood, although you can't tell because there's really no buildings in Greenwood that are more than like 2 stories high. And there are just a couple of little stores, and there's like one stoplight. And we pull up to this little park field house. And I get out and I'm sloshing around the rain and my socks are wet. And I walk in, and I've driven an hour and a half, and there are like 15, 20 people there. 15, 20 people. And I will tell you, they didn't look any happier to see me as I did to see them. They were wet and damp, and they weren't really excited. They didn't know why they were there. And so I go around the room, and I say, how do you do? What do you do? And talk to everybody. But they're not really feeling it right now. And so I'm about to make my pitch. I'm trying to muster myself up. Let me make the best of this. I'm going to do it quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. And suddenly I hear this voice from the back just shout, "Fired up!" And everybody in the room says, "Fired up!" And I say, "Ready to go?" And then I hear the voice say, "Ready to go!" And everybody in the room says, "Ready to go!" And I don't know what's going on. I think these people are crazy. Maybe I shouldn't have come here. And then I look in the back of the room, and there's this middle-aged woman, and she's dressed like she just came from church. She's got a big church hat, and she got, I think, a gold tooth. Turns out she holds a position in the local NAACP office, and also, I'm not kidding you, is a private detective. This is a true story. She's like a private eye. Although it's hard to think that you wouldn't see her coming. She's very colorful, and she's grinning at me. And apparently, she is known wherever she goes by saying this chant, "Fired up." And everybody knows her, so they know that when she says "fired up," they've got to say "fired up." And when she says "ready to go," everybody's got to say "ready to go." And this is what she does. Every meeting she goes to, she does this thing, which is kind of strange. So the thing is, though, she keeps on doing it. And everybody keeps on, she says "fired up," and they say "fired up," and "ready to go, ready to go." But the interesting thing is, after a while, I'm starting to get kind of fired up. I'm starting to feel like I'm ready to go. And all those negative thoughts and all those bad memories start kind of drifting away. And we have a great meeting with these 20 people. And they all say, "We're going to support you. And we're going to go out there and work." And even after we left Greenwood, the rest of the day, all the campaigning, when I saw my staff, I said, "Are you fired up?" They say, "I'm fired up, boss." "Are you ready to go?" I'm ready to go. And it just goes to show you how one voice can change a room. And if it can change a room, it can change a city. And if it can change a city, it can change a state. And if it can change a state, it can change a nation. And if it can change a nation, it can change the world. So I just have one question for you, New Hampshire. Are you fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Fired up? Ready to go? Let's go finish what we started. Let's elect Hillary Clinton. Let's elect Maggie Hassan. I love you, New Hampshire. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light true. Baby, won't you let the light